How's it going, everybody? I am Donut. This is, of course, a Black Lives Matter, all cops are bastards, and trans rights supporting channel. If you're not supporting that shit, you can get the fuck right off this channel. We are finally getting into the X-Men franchise now that I am caught up on all the MCU movies, and even though the X-Men are going to be in the MCU, it's not going to be for a long, long time, and I'm not sure if we're continuing on to Phase 4. That's all not important right now. What is important is we are continuing on to the X-Men franchise. We're going to be doing these one movie every other week. So you're watching this on a Monday, next Monday there won't be one, next Monday after that there will be another movie. In between, there will be a movie, it just won't be an X-Men movie. It will be another random movie from Marvel's catalog in the past. I got a whole list. So, this one is just X-Men 2000. It came out in 2000, so it's going to be pretty, I'm actually, it's going to be a bit edgy or just, you know, trying to be too cool for school. You know, it's going to be, it's right on the year 2000. It's going to be very emblematic of the time period, I feel like. But aside from that, what do I know about X-Men as a thing? I don't really know anything about these movies. I have never seen any of these movies. I have never even seen a clip from any of these movies, really. Actually, no, that's not true. I have seen 2 clips of Quicksilver. Up until doing, you know, all this for the YouTube channel, all this superhero stuff, I was not really that into it. So, those were really the only things that I was interested in, looked those up on my own. So I have seen those 2 scenes. Aside from those 2 scenes, I haven't seen anything from this at all. So, if you want to see the full length, check it out in the description below. It's free, everybody can watch it, no syncing up. Just go check it out. If you're interested in it, check out the Patreon. I do full-length stuff for shows, $4 a month. Check that out, please. But, you know, check out this whole movie for free. If you like it, check out the Patreon. Okay, we are here for the discussion of X-Men.
Oh, yeah.
I am here with my fiance, joining me for all of these. If this is your first time coming into these, you are similar to the MCU. You have seen basically all the X-Men. I think there's like one you haven't seen.
Yeah.
And so you're going to be joining me, giving me discussion, like giving me trivia and stuff, and you know, guiding me along without like spoiling anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. You are my fiance, did I say that?
No, you didn't.
Let me say that.
I'm here, I'm Thermites, get used to it.
He has a channel as well. Check it out in the description if I remember to put it in the description. So, when did you first watch this movie when it came out in 2000?
I can't have.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I must have seen it, like, in one of my
you would have been
cousin's
way
houses
too
or
young.
something. Yeah. But it was definitely, like, it was around the zeitgeist of me watching, like, The Matrix and the X-Men, like, I kind of had this, like, clog in my system where I didn't go out and watch a lot of movies, and then I went to a lot of my, like, cousins' houses, and they had DVDs or ripped DVDs or, you know.
Yeah.
And so it was this big influx of, okay, now here's all 2000 cinema you should be watching, for better or for worse.
I'm glad you brought back up The Matrix, because I wasn't thinking about that at the time watching this. It definitely felt way more like the Resident Evil or the, like, Matrix 2 or 3 or whatever. Like, it had, but the floatiness of the fights and the wire works and all that is definitely very heavily Matrix inspired, for sure.
Like, it's specifically from that era of, like, The Matrix had the justification of this is all a cybernetic world.
Yeah.
And so it's very intentionally floating. And it kind of just, like, dispersed out into intentionally floaty just looks really cool. Like, we're just gonna throw it into things.
Yeah, and especially in something like this where they are, like, they have powers, and so there's a more willingness to just go, like, whatever, man, they have powers, and you are like, you're wondering why they're floating, like, who cares?
Yeah.
You know, you should still care a little bit, but it's something that you can, you know, people are way more willing to make that argument.
And I do think it lends itself to the heightened reality of the movie. Like, from the start, the movie is, like, tackling real themes, but it is also very much like, this is a world with mutants, it is comic booky, we're gonna do some weird stuff, so if you uppercut someone and they just kind of, like, fly upwards off screen, they don't come back down, whatever.
I think, like, I want to differentiate between, I really like the wire work in this. I think the floatiness of it, I'm never going to, I don't think I've liked the floatiness in anything but The Matrix. Even in, like, Resident Evil, I don't think it looks good. It's, like, Max Payne, it works in, because it's purposeful. Like, where it is purposeful, I think it works.
Yeah.
But like the wire work, I'm totally fine. If you want to have weird wire work that looks stupid, that's one thing. Like when they're getting, like they said, they get uppercut and they fly up, or they get punched and they fly through a building. But I think it's when they're like, okay, I'm gonna jump over this thing, and they just sort of kind of fly for a second.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that I don't like.
I will also say part of the reason why they had to do that is because of the costumes.
They just couldn't move in them that well.
Yeah, they did the big 2000 thing of we cannot have them in the X-Men outfits, which are very blue and yellow, like they're very striking in comics.
Yeah, they made the reference to that.
Yeah, so they were like, okay, we gotta do more realistic comics, more realistic colors. Black leather is in. They're all going to wear black leather outfits.
Oh yeah.
And there's a lot of behind the scenes footage of the actors trying to move around, and like they're so stiff, they're like action figures. Like they physically can't jump.
Yeah, I can imagine it with a like leather onesie. That is going to be very difficult to move in.
Yeah, because it's the first movie, so they had no real time to like test this out and figure out like, is this gonna work? They just went with, this looks really cool.
It is so funny too that they're like, we can't do these big bright yellow jumpsuits. Nobody is going to be interested in a fight like in an action movie where the main character is wearing a big bright orange yellow thing. It's like Bruce Lee's entire thing.
Yeah.
Everything copies that, and they're like, we can't do that. That's gonna be too goofy. Meanwhile, look at Wolverine.
Oh yeah.
I love what they did with his. Like, I love that they didn't try and like subtle it up, especially in the hairstyle. Like Wolverine's hairstyle is definitely something that is extremely iconic and is like, you can make it look more like average, I guess, like more just like it's curly hair. But I think keeping it so distinct, keeping it so comic booky, like while everybody else not having extremely like distinctive hair, like to where it feels like it's like super hairsprayed up that way. I think that really like made him stand out even more. But I think that's the only really problem I had like with the fighting thing was like the floatiness as opposed to the wire work, which is different. Even again, the CGI, I'm totally fine with like bad CGI. I don't think I will ever not gonna have the reaction of like, oh.
That's fair.
Yeah, but I will always appreciate them trying.
Yeah.
The water is a bit much.
Oh yeah. That didn't age very well.
That's never gonna age well. It's still hard to do now.
Yeah.
So like, I get it, but it's the fact that they tried so much and it was like, okay, I appreciate you guys trying. This is trying a little bit much.
Like, this is also the era of not only is the CG, but we want you to know that this is CG because CG is really cool. Yeah,
you need to be very aware that what you're watching is CG.
Yeah. Like, these are
that era. I do like that era though. It's very like there's a lot of people that just outright hate that, and like I will never be able to not have the reaction of just like and I might enjoy practical stuff more, but I do kind of appreciate that CGI more than just like CGI nowadays that is unnoticeable, because like it is like a practical effect where they're putting it in your face and saying, look at this effect. Whereas like a lot of CGI now doesn't give me that like oh watch out vibe, because it doesn't, it feels more animated than feeling like a thing that they are showing me.
I can understand that.
There is more. I feel the craft in it more because it's more amateur. Amateur, I say. Even this was like the best thing to do at the, this was not the best thing to do at the time, but this was average for the time. So, where do I want to move from the movie? I did not know anything about Magneto, like, going into this. I knew literally nothing about it. I knew, like, some stuff about Professor X. I knew the whole, like, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X parallels to them. Did not know, like, is it the same in the comics, I assume, with his backstory and origin and everything? Like, that is fantastic. I really love that. It is, it's the kind of thing where I'm totally willing to say this. It hits me like a truck whenever something like this happens, where it's like, this came out in 2000, this is X-Men, and they already have, or they already did a way more interesting villain than it took till fucking Killmonger for MCU to do. Like, it took them so long! So long! They've done it once! And it's like, here, Magneto seems like it's gonna be the reoccurring, big bad while having other people that are doing stuff in his like, oh, he would want me to do this, and it's like, oh, maybe he wouldn't want you to do that, or, you know, people who are actually doing exactly what he wants, following his plans. There's so many different types of plots you could do with that, or just, you know, having him come out when they break him out and stuff. But I'm guessing, I'm just gonna say it right now, like, my guess for X2 will probably be the villain's goal is to break Magneto out.
Okay, makes sense.
And in the movie will be Magneto breaking out. Because, and I'm not sure what they're going to do with Charles next movie, because it also seems like they want to do we don't want Charles to be in the final fight. Like, definitely not here. I'm not sure if they're going to continue that.
Sure.
Like, we got to have a reason why we can't have Charles in this yet, like, bring him in like, the final... I'm guessing they wanted this to be a trilogy at first. I know it's not, but at the time, especially when this came out in 2000, especially The Matrix and all that, I'm assuming they probably wanted this to be a trilogy. So, in their mind, I'm assuming we don't want Charles, we don't want Professor X to fight until... like the third movie or whatever.
Yeah.
That's my guess. So, maybe the villains do something to him. Again, not in a, like, poisoning him way, but just in a, like, physically doing something to him to keep him out of the second movie.
Yeah.
But I would want to get more of him in the second movie because I really like this movie because I am a huge fan of TV more than I am movies, and this just felt like an episode 1 rather than me watching a movie, so I really enjoyed it. But that does come with the, like, you know, I hope this stuff does continue over more than the Marvel movie or more than the MCU movies are. With, like, you know, I want to learn more about Professor X, like how he got this place, how he has the money for all of this. Magneto, where he got that place.
Yeah, they do a lot of, like, heavy hinting that they had something together at some point.
Yeah. Like, that I'm sure we're going to get. But, like, the money thing, I hope there is an answer for that.
Sure.
Like, they both have these huge places, and it's so comic booky, and I love that, but I do hope that we have an explanation for it. And I'm fine with not having it in this movie, but I just hope that we get one. I mean, Professor X seems like, I mean, that one I feel like we're definitely getting an explanation for. The Magneto one is like the one, like, I hope we get an explanation for how he had a giant underground evil lair, but Charles, I'm sure we're going to get an explanation.
Sure.
This feels like a, you know, there's something that happened.
But yeah, I love Magneto. He's a fan favorite.
I can see why. I've heard a lot of stuff about them. Not in any, like, I just heard people talk about them, not anything in particular. And so yeah, I can see why people. I've heard way more about, you know, this villain than every time a villain pops up in the MCU, and I'm like, who the hell is this? Never heard of you in my life. Red Skull. I was the only one I think I've known, like, when they said the name, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, his actor, Sir Ian McKellen, he was definitely the first actor I knew.
Also, I had no idea that was Sir Ian McKellen. That was Sir Ian McKellen?
Yeah,
holy shit, I had no idea. Oh my god, like, I know who that is. I had no idea. That is wild.
But yeah, like, he signed on in part because, you know, he lived through the war. He's been openly gay for, like, you know, a long, long time.
Yeah.
And so this is a role where he could really, like, you know, put those feelings into action. Like, Magneto is a very praxis-oriented character.
Oh, yeah.
He is the, like, the world should not have to, like, make concessions to us. We are the future. Everyone's going to be like us eventually anyways. And also, I've been part of multiple minority groups that have been destroyed by the government or by discrimination or, you know, like, a combination of everything. And I have this other group that I'm part of, and we're strong enough, and I'm extremely strong. Like, I'm not going to let the world destroy us.
Yeah. And, again, like, his groups were very much so destroyed by people like Professor X. I keep saying Professor X, but I should say Charles, because they don't, like, call him... Did they call him Professor X in the movie at all?
Oh, I don't know if they ever did.
That's just a me thing that I keep doing that. But I'm going to say Charles for him, but I probably will say Magneto for Eric.
Yeah.
I like being able to just go off of their mutant names. Is that the best way to?
Yeah, it's the best way to put it.
Like their It is not like it's their new identity, because they do still use their previous names and everything. But yeah, it is kind of like giving themselves a new name for themselves, but not a replacement name. Like, they're not like, this is my new only name. It's just like, this is my new also name.
Yeah.
But it's also not like a hero name. Like, you know, you can just refer to them that if you're talking to them as the person, because, you know, I mean, they don't really have a hero role. There's not like a distinction between that. They are just, I am this person.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that so early in the movie we have Rogue introduce herself as Rogue.
Yeah.
We know she's not like a supervillain or superhero or anything, as just a like, okay, so any mutant might, have their own mutant name.
Yeah, that said it immediately where I was like, okay, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And it kind of like took me as like that was just her name originally, and then as we get into like, okay, so I don't think I ever got that wasn't her name. Like, I don't know if she had a name. I didn't catch it, but
Yeah.
But once we started getting the other characters, it was like, okay, so we're not doing this as like these are their names. These
Yeah.
are like something they've given themselves.
Yeah.
And hers was I was curious as to what her power was going to be based off of Rogue, but if it's a name she's giving herself, makes sense because it's based off her running away rather
Yeah.
than her powers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's cool.
Yeah.
But going back into the Magneto thing, that he has been a part of these groups that have been oppressed by people, or not been oppressed, but also that it has gotten so much worse because of people like Charles.
Yeah.
And, like, that is what this whole movie is about. Like, Charles is getting in his way, and he is, very aggressive towards him because he realizes that, like, even if you are not the one oppressing me, you are going to create a world in which this gets worse and worse.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it is the, like... It is like the MLK quote, even though he's supposed to be Malcolm X and everything.
Yeah.
But like I don't remember the exact quote, but
Mm-hmm.
the biggest problem towards black people is the white moderate, not the white conservative or
Right.
the actual Nazi or whatever. It is the white moderate that tries to downplay the racism.
Yeah.
Like Charles,
Mm-hmm.
which is the movie's gonna do what the movie's gonna do for 2000. And I hope that they start to make Charles more of a villain as like way later in the
Sure.
thing as we go, because I feel like they might, but I also feel like it's going to be a thing where Charles dies relatively halfway through the franchise or whatever,
Okay.
and then it's going to be a new generation taking over and stuff. We
Mhm.
have a lot of characters that are really young in this.
Yeah.
That it feels like they wanted to get really young so that way they could get them for a long thing.
Yeah.
The blue-haired kid, I'm pretty sure is Beast.
Okay.
Like I don't know that for sure, but I know Beast has blue skin, I believe.
Okay.
And I don't know if he has hair or not, but I'm guessing that's the only thing that. The fact that there was like a kid with blue hair and like nobody else had colored hair,
Right.
maybe be like okay, so they're not just doing this as like a a character design thing. This feels like they're setting up something for a future
Mhm.
movie. Yeah, so I feel like that's gonna happen with Professor X. He's going to die,
Okay.
and there's gonna be a new generation that takes over the school and stuff like that. I feel like a lot of this is pretty easy to grasp and understand. Especially this
Yeah.
movie is so simple. It's so just like on the surface. There's not much more. It's all right there. But I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and this is the only movie in the entire franchise that is not like somewhat based on a specific arc.
Okay.
I would say that like Rogue running away from her parents is kind of based on her origin. Same with like individual scenes are definitely like
Sure.
reflections of the comics. But I think the movie is much more of a proof of concept. It is the like. We know you want to see Cerebro. We know you want to see, Professor X in the, wheelchair moving around.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you want to see him talk to Magneto at least once. Like, there's a lot of, like, very iconic stuff.
I could
rather
definitely
than,
tell
like-
that.
Yeah.
There was a lot of like the. It felt like the kind of thing in, for example, like Spider-Verse, where they go down to the base and you just see all this shit
Yeah.
around. Like, it is there's so many like big fan service shots like that, where it's
Yeah.
like, okay, well, the comic fans are gonna love this. But yeah, I think even if the plot so far is extremely simple and everything, I really like how simple it is, and I kind of hope it stays this simple. I hope it does not try and get super convoluted and everything like that. Sometimes that can just feel unneeded.
Sure.
And I appreciate the simplicity of it,
Yeah, I get ya.
especially for the first movie and everything, like setting us up for this world and these characters and everything. I appreciate that it's all surface level and very easily understandable.
Yeah.
It's not something I have to take a long time to wrap my head around or anything. It's just, oh yeah, I get it. I like it. I like simple stuff more. I think. So, where do I want to go from there? Just introducing Magneto and Charles as the, like, two main sides of this early on, and not really having any, like, qualms about, like, is this gonna be, like, you know, is this a bad guy or not? Like, you know, like, this is the antagonist of the movie. He's gonna be an antagonist that has a lot of great points, and you should probably side with him, too.
Yeah.
But then, of course, they're doing the white modern thing of, like, but he wants to kill people, and it's bad.
Yeah.
But, like, aside from that...
Well, that also, like, his plan isn't even I want to kill
Yeah, I'm talking about from the beginning, like, how they're setting it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to the plan later.
Yeah.
I have a lot to talk about that. I like that as well.
Okay.
But just talking about how they set him up, it's you know, you're only supposed to dislike him because he kills people.
Sure.
Same thing with Killmonger, you know?
Yeah.
You're only supposed to dislike these people because they're killing people, not because of their ideology.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm glad they set up that it was going to be that kind of villain, and set up that it's like, you know, I keep saying villain, but antagonist is probably the better word. I've had that problem through all my reactions forever. I was saying villain when I mean antagonist. But yeah, I just like how they set that up.
Yeah.
Because they were like holding him in shadows and keeping him mysterious and everything like that. And it's like, you know who it is. They're not trying to be subtle about it in any way. They are being very overly, we're not going to show you the like appearance, but it's like keeping it in shadows.
Yeah.
Greatly done. Very well done. So, now we should move on to maybe the introduction of Rogue and Wolverine.
Sure.
And that whole thing. I really thought the whole, like, fighting place was going to be a like, I feel like in any other movie that would have been a whole side plot line type thing.
Yeah.
It would be so a thing of, like, we can't introduce this if we're not going to have this come back. What about those guys that he fought? We can't not have them come back in the final act and do something to redeem themselves.
Right.
Like, that's every goddamn movie now, and I'm so glad that... Like, I forgot how much I liked old movies not having to have everything fucking come back.
Yeah.
Literally every single thing in the entire movie.
Like, I do like a tight script, but I also appreciate I think this movie does a good job of feeling more like a world, not a universe per se. Like, I think with universe movies, there's a lot of, like, this is going to come back again, so we're going to, like, you know, linger on it or, like, let you know this is important.
Yeah.
Whereas this is more of a casual, like, this is just kind of what the world's like.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It was not... Yeah, they were not trying to, like, hammer home the mutants are a new big thing, like a super new big thing, but also not a old thing. Like, it's kind of... It felt natural, where it's like, they've been around for some time, people don't really know much about it, but a lot of people know about it.
Yeah.
It felt good.
Yeah, like...
I don't have much to say about it, it felt fine. I'm not going to say, like, it felt overly, you know, realistic or anything, but it felt fine.
Yeah. I really like Rogue's opening scene with her boyfriends. Like, it is the ultimate, like... I think you said in the reaction, like, oh, I knew that it was a puberty thing, but I didn't realize it was literally a puberty thing. Yeah. And that is such an immediate, like, this is puberty. This is you're with someone that you really like, and then something goes wrong, and you're like, I don't know what's happening. What's happening with my body? What is this?
Yeah. And, like, it is a good scene, too, because at first I thought it was him doing it to her. Like, or it was not, like, doing it to her, but, like, he was the one who was, pubertizing.
Sure.
Is there a word for mutating? No, it's not you're mutating, 'cause you're already a mutant.
Yeah, like, it's different for, like, the Inhumans, where they have a very clear dividing point of this thing happens to their body and then they transform. Yeah. Whereas the mutants, not really.
I mean, is there a word for mutant puberty? Just the whole period?
I don't think so.
Okay, I'll just call it mutant puberty.
Sure.
But yeah, I thought, like, it was happening to the boy there, but it was a great, like, you know, way to do that scene.
Yeah.
And Rogue as a character, just interesting, you know? I don't have much to say about it.
Sure.
Feels very self-inserty a little bit, in a good way. Like, we're going to give this character a lot of character in the second movie, but right now it's just kind of like the audience surrogate. And again, I like that in sort of TV sense. A lot of TV shows do that. But the first episode, it's fine to have the character be very self-inserting and be very, you were just this character watching all this unfold. Yeah. Versus... having to, like, really heavily characterize them for a movie or something. Again, this felt like a TV show, which we didn't have to do that for her.
Yeah, like, Rogue is important, and her, like, development and her fear and all that, like, it is part of what, you know, really drives the plots. Yeah. But at the same time, she's not the one who has to, like, make the final choice or, like, do the big final battle. like the protagonist role is divided up through a bunch of different characters.
Yeah.
One of whom I'd say is Magneto. Like, we start the movie
Oh,
off
yeah,
with
for
him.
sure.
It is simultaneously the villain origin and the, like, this is, he is the stand-in for all mutants. All mutants are treated like this to some extent.
Yeah. And it's by the way, talking about that shot, such an incredible, like, you know, in retrospect, such an incredible, like, showing where he went through and what his, like, mutant puberty, you know, coming out was compared to, like, what the mutants are dealing with now, which is, you know, a lot nicer, but there still is this oppression under the surface. And just because their lives seem good on the surface does not mean that this shit is not still happening to them. Like, yeah, it seems like, oh, okay, so we are just gonna go from that to this, like, nice high school romp, you know, thing, and it's gonna be like, oh no, my mutant powers are coming out. I thought it was gonna be like the Spider-Man sort of thing, but I like that it's a lot more. I put this boy in a coma for 3 weeks. It was bad. It was fucked. Yeah. Like, or I didn't think she said 3 weeks. She said 3 months, or
I don't remember. I think it was only 3 weeks.
3 weeks, maybe? But yeah, so, by the way, I am glad that we had that, because, like, when it was happening to Wolverine, and it was like, okay, well, if that almost killed him, what happened to, you know, the boy? And the fact that it put him in a coma for 3 weeks was enough to make me like, okay, yeah, that was, you know, good, like, consequence, like, you know, I don't feel like her power is...
Waffly,
Waffly, yes, that's a good word.
Yeah.
I feel like the strength is there, and it is scary.
Yeah, and also we don't do the really obvious arc they could have done for the movie of, you know, she touches someone, nearly, you know, puts him in a coma for 3 months, could have killed him, and then by the end of the movie she can touch people again and it's fine. Yeah, like, we leave it at she's got a lot of growing to do. If she touches someone, she's still gonna, like, suck the life out of them, but now she has a support network.
Yeah, I'm glad we're doing that. Obviously, this is where we're going to go in some of the future movies, but I'm glad that at the end of the movie, she's not, perfect with powers or anything like that. And as we were going back into her character and everything, her character in this movie does derive from the movie itself, like from the events of the movie itself. Most of her character most of her life up to that point has been just a normal, privileged kind of life. So really, her running away is the start of her character beginning, like her personality really manifesting it in what it really is. And that's what this, I assume, is all going to be about. You go through the mutant puberty and you're coming out, in a sense. Like, this is... I really thought this was way more of the specific, like, this was coming out around the civil rights, you know, movement time, and it was a lot more towards, like, black people, I thought. But it definitely seems like it's just going towards minority groups in general. Yeah. Which is fine, you know. The fact that they were trying to do a Martin Luther King and Malcolm X thing is weird when they're doing a all minority groups in general sort of thing. Also kind of weird when they're trying to say that, like, saying that Charles is the Martin Luther King. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. Like, that is, you know, of course, the whitewashed Martin Luther King that he is supposed to be. Like, he does not feel like Martin Luther King in any sense at all. But, yeah. I really don't think that's... To be fair, Magneto feels like Malcolm X at all either. Yeah,
like, I would caution you away from doing the direct thing. Yeah. Like, that's definitely where, like, especially the comics started off with their characters. Okay. And with the movie, like, part of the reason this movie got made specifically was because, like, the director and the scriptwriters made a script that was close enough to the, you know, to, like, the actual, like, they had something to say about civil rights. Okay. Whereas a lot of other tropes were more of a, like, they're just gonna do a mutant romp and shoot each other, and then occasionally someone's gonna go like, oh, I hate mutants.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of expecting. Yeah. So I'm glad they didn't do that. But okay, I mean, yeah, that's like the comparison between those two is mainly the only thing I've ever heard about X-Men. Yeah. So that's just why that I had brought that up. But yeah, so I will put that out of my mind. That it is not supposed to be that much of a connection.
Or, like, they're not gonna, like, build up the connection more over time.
Yeah, the connection is as surface level as it is, which is barely there. Yeah. It really is these are the two most recognizable civil rights leaders. That's really as far as it goes. Yeah. Like, they really didn't try it. I mean, as far as, you know, going off of this. The comics, maybe more so. Sure. But I will agree. I will not try and see what's not there. So, going on to the probably third, like, big character like, I'm going in terms of, like, the most important characters seem to be the oldest characters.
Sure.
So then going down, we have Jean Grey.
Okay.
Who seems to be on this, like, level above, like, Cyclops and Storm.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why she seems older than them, but she does.
She is also the only one to not have a mutant name.
Yeah, that's why I was going to bring this up as well. Like, is there a reason for that in the comics? Just yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a reason for it in the movies, or do they just kind of ignore that?
Don't fully remember.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that is interesting that, you know, she's just Jean Grey. No, it's also, again, as a name that I recognize, and I recognize many, many of these names, but I never really thought about why I only recognize her as Jean Grey. Because, yeah, her powers, I don't know. You know, it's... Her powers are the most... everybody has multiple kind of power sets, which is similar, but hers is the only ones where it's like, I don't have a name for it. Like, it's... Because Professor X, Charles can't do levitation and stuff. So, yeah, I'm curious, like, if we would get a name for it, what it would be. But it doesn't really seem like we're going to get a name for anybody's powers, sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's just like, they're going to do whatever they're going to do. You know, like Cyclops, how do you name that?
Yeah, like, that is a distinction / reverse distinction I like about the X-Men in general, is that, like, a mutant isn't, like, you know, someone with a quirk from My Hero Academia, where it is, like, one thing, or, you know, people try to boil it down to one thing.
Yeah.
Like, it is much more of there can be all sorts of stuff going on with your body. Like, and it is a complete luck of the draw. Maybe you have, like, you know, the I-beams. Maybe you can turn them off and turn them on. Maybe you can't. Maybe your entire body is just physically very different. You know, like Toad, for instance.
Yeah. I really appreciate, like, that it does feel, like, not designed, right? It doesn't feel like a video game.
Right.
Like, which is crazy, because it should. Like, I would imagine these comics that would do that, but it actually doesn't. They're so varied that it does feel like they just have these abilities naturally. Whereas, again, as you said, like, a lot of manga does the thing where it's like, my ability is verb, and then they go like, oh, well, if I think about it like this, I could also use verb that way, or verb could mean this thing. But it's like, it kind of puts everybody in these boxes that then they have to grow out of. Yeah. Whereas this is kind of like, you have all your shit immediately, and you have to kind of box it in.
Yeah.
And utilize it better.
Mm-hmm.
And I really appreciate that a lot more.
Yeah.
It's going back to the micronaming thing. It's like Deku compared to everybody else.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's not a like clear hierarchy of this power is garbage, this power is really good. Like in the final fight, Toad does a lot.
Yeah.
And his is a power that doesn't seem that good like on the surface.
Same. But the tongue is incredibly strong.
Yeah, and he's also just very skilled.
Yeah. Like, yeah, he's...
Not very, but yeah, like, he's skilled.
He's very skilled. I would agree that he's very skilled. I would not agree that he's very competent.
Sure.
Like, he gets a lot of work done, but he is so goofy and, like, does the, like, I'm gonna just dance.
Yeah.
Like, I love it. I love it, but I would not call this man, like... This is not a man where I would send him out and go like, he's definitely going to get the job done. It's like, I'm sending him out because he's really strong.
Sure.
He's probably going to get the job done because he's really strong. But yeah, I do like that he is, he's just having fun, but he is doing this for a very good cause, and he understands the cause, and he is like, you know, you can see the hate towards the senator in him.
Yeah.
Like, he shows a lot of emotions while being happy the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I don't know, I really like his energy. It's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I love all the villains. All the villains or the antagonists are so much cooler than our heroes. They just are.
I mean, that is the classic comic book problem.
Except for Sabretooth. He was like, he has really cool design and everything, but, you know, there's not much personality there.
There's not a lot going on.
Yeah. I don't know. The scene where the senator gets away and Sabretooth's just like, you know, oh, he got away. And then Magneto walks out of the room, closes them, locks him in there, and then had to have just let him right back out because Sabretooth then goes immediately out somewhere else. That's such a weird scene.
Yeah.
It's supposed to make us go like, oh man, Magneto's, he is such an asshole. But it's like, well, he just did it for like 5 seconds.
Yeah. I took it less as a punishment and more of a, like, I can't fucking believe you.
Yeah. I mean, like, I felt like he was gonna lock him in there for the rest of the movie or something.
Right.
But, like, no, it was just kind of like you're annoying me.
Yeah.
Like, it is as if he just, like, slammed the door in somebody's face, you know?
Like, I really like that scene in general because I feel like they both have a lot of character in it.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with, like, Magneto walking away, just seeming like, yeah, he's gonna grab the senator, and then Sabretooth's like, he falls, and he's like, oh, crap.
But it's also like, how did you not hear the screams of him falling and the splash in the water?
Yeah.
I was laughing so hard when he turns around, showing the thing, and he's so surprised. Anyway, aside from Sabretooth, yeah, I think all the antagonists are great. I think Mystique is my favorite from the entire movie.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, she is fantastic.
I also just think that Mystique's look is so good. Like,
Absolutely.
they nailed it.
Yeah, and like the like changing of appearance looks really good. The only place where it doesn't look great is like right around the hairline. Like that just you can't get that to look good.
Yeah.
Even Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. coming out in 2010 had that sort of effect, and it looked bad exactly right around there.
Yeah.
It's just it's hard, incredibly hard to do that.
Yeah.
But otherwise, the effect is really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I appreciate that they can have her just walking around naked the entire time without it being like they're not covering up that much. You know, they're just not showing nipples and not showing a vulva. That's pretty much it. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that they can get away with that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it gives off this very strong. Like, when I think of the Brotherhood of Mutants, like Magneto's group, I do think of them as usually looking very like how do I put this? They have a very distinct look.
Motley.
Yeah, they've got a motley look. They've got a more, like, pridey look.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's a lot of, you look at them and you know they're mutants. Whereas with the X-Men, like, you look at them and you're not totally sure. Like, even with, someone with very big visual changes, usually they have, like, an outfit on or something.
Yeah. I was, like, when we were introduced to them and Mystique was doing, like, the all over Magneto, I was like, alright, this is 2000s, alright. But, like, towards the end of the movie, I'm like, no, they're just kind of like, that was not a, like, he is, like, this kind of, like, womanizer sort of thing they were going for. It is sort of like they're all just very open and we're just being really queer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. At first, it really got me, like, I don't know how I feel about this, but... Yeah, I think by the end I was like, okay, I know what they're going for.
Yeah, Magneto does have, like, a sensitivity to him.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't really shut anyone down. The one thing he does is, like, lock up Sabretooth for, like, 5 seconds.
Yeah. And even then, again, it makes more sense now, like, Sabretooth's reaction to that just being like, well, like, he was just kind of like, hey, man. Like, not like a, hey, what are you doing? Let me, it's just like a, hey, come on.
Yeah.
It's not my fault. Yeah, That scene was so weird to me, but I really like it in retrospect because it is. I know what they're trying to do with it, but to me, it works so much to characterize them all. And again, the only part of Magneto's plan that I don't like is the fact that he didn't grab another senator to test this on.
Right.
If they at least said, we didn't have the time, there's so little time between testing the machine the first time and doing... Also, it would probably kill him if he tested it again, maybe. Like but again, any of those lines, I feel like I would be more happy with. But we got no explanation.
Yeah. Like, it was a little too brief.
Yeah. There could be an explanation, but there isn't one that is implied, even.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem. Like, there's ones I could give, but there's not even one that's implied, and that's the problem. But yeah, other than that, I really love the whole final plan. So let's talk about that. We'll get back into other stuff.
Sure,
but let's talk about these big stuff that I want to talk about first.
Yeah.
So the final plan, really good idea to have it be a thing that he would have no reason to believe. Like, they have no proof, and he has no real reason to believe them. Like, it would just feel like another trick that they're trying to do. So to have this be you can't argue with him. It's just that you have to stop the plan because we know what's actually going to happen. But it's not that we have to stop his ideology.
Right.
Even though they are trying that, as an audience, that's not what, you have to do. You can go, yes, I am rooting for them to do this.
Yeah.
And, like, ultimately, we do see that even if his plan would have worked as he wanted it to work, it's not the best plan either.
Right.
It's way better than, like, you know, Charles wanting to do nothing, but it is not a great plan either.
Yeah.
Because as we can see with the Senator, turning them into mutants did fucking nothing to change his mind. He still was just, like, you know, super, bigoted towards them and himself and everything. And yeah, so it's like, you're just going to now have a group of people who are like, we are the forced mutants, and now we are still oppressing the other mutants and humans now, because it's just gonna make it way worse.
Like, it is, in a way, Magneto being, like, as idealistic as Charles.
Yeah.
Like, Charles's thing is, like, if we just prove that we are good mutants, then the world will accept us. Whereas Magneto's thought in this movie is, well, if everyone is mutants, they wouldn't discriminate against us. Like, you wouldn't be part of a group and then discriminate against that group, right?
Yeah. Also, I say that about his plan, or I said what I said about his plan because he said he was acting like this was going to be the whole world.
It was going to be both the islands and also, like, a chunk of New York.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was specifically going to be the island with, like, all the world leaders on it.
Right. But he does keep saying, like, once everybody's mutants, we won't be discriminated against and everything. It's just kind of like, you know, I don't know how you plan to do this on a global scale.
Yeah.
And if you can't do it on a global scale, I don't know how this is going to help very much.
Like, I think his thought process was, if every country is run by a mutant now, then they're going to stop oppressing mutants.
Yeah, that's what I was going. Like, you know,
like,
the Ellis Island thing makes sense.
Yeah.
But, like, when he was acting like if everybody is mutants, then, like, that was a little bit like you know, I feel like you're looking a little bit too far ahead.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I agree with you there.
Take a step back, Magneto. You're not even, you know, done the first part of the plan yet. But yeah. I'm not sure what else I have to say about the plan. Just like that, it's a really, it's very simple. With like, they don't need to complicate it too much while still letting it be extremely morally gray and let you root for it and everything.
Yeah, because they're also using, like, you know, a child as the battery to power this thing.
Yeah, and like it is the kind of thing where I can't go like he didn't need to do that. Like it's not like a, you know. If you know, he could have just like he could kill himself to do it and everything, but it is if she takes his power, it will be more powerful. Yeah, like that is the idea. So it is like this, you know. I can't agree with him doing this, but there's not like an easy. A lot of times, villains that have like an easy, like, well, you're doing this extremely villainous thing when you don't need to do it. I mean, like Thanos is a good, you know, example with the glove and everything, not wanting to kill himself. You know, wanting to be there afterwards. Like, it is a very selfish sort of thing. But I like that this was not that. It was a, like, the only way to do it is this way.
And I appreciate that Wolverine does still call it out, because from his perspective, it is well, you should be in there instead of her. Yeah. Like, he's not, you know, you can't argue with him about the finer details of it. He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah. And it's like, maybe, you know, like, he's saying that, like, with her in there, it'll be more powerful and everything like that. Yeah. But it's like, how does he know that?
Yeah, like, both sides don't really know each other that well.
Yeah. He's kind of just going off of what they have said, really. Yeah. Like, because he was going after her originally. I don't know how. Like, I don't know. That's the only thing I don't really know. It's like, why was he going after Rogue originally? Like, how did he know that she was going to be more powerful? Or was it a selfish thing originally? Right. And he's justifying it as a stronger thing later, maybe. Maybe that is what it is. You know, I think that's got to be it. Because I think that's the only thing that would explain why he was going after her originally. Yeah. If it was just I just want to have someone do this besides me, and then it was later on like, well, I'm doing it because she's more powerful. Maybe.
I could see it. Because either way, like, he's still shortening his life, because she's still sucking the life out of him in order to get his power.
Yeah. Is that shortening their lifespan?
I believe that's what they said. Like, it is specifically taking their life force out. And then if it's a mutant, also, she gets their gift for a while.
Yeah, I mean, life force means so many different things in so many different series. I have no idea what it would mean in this one. Like, sometimes it means your actual years. Sometimes it just means, like, your temporary healthiness. But, like, when she took away it from Wolverine, his old wounds came back. Yeah. So, I don't know if that means it's years or something, but it is, like, a temporary amount of... I don't know. Like, I don't know. His regeneration seems to give him extra stuff.
Right.
Like, it's not that, like... Yeah, I don't know how that works.
Yeah, his regeneration doesn't seem to be, like, pulling from his life force.
Yeah. It is, yeah, something else. Because she can, you know, take away his life force, and he has his old wounds, but then he can heal those wounds again.
Yeah.
And, like, assumingly she could take more life force, and then he would have his old wounds back.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you know, you can just get infinite life force from him, it seems like. But, you know, it is like a... She can suck faster than he can heal.
Yeah, like she could kill him.
Yeah. Very quickly, too. It's not like it's going to be a long time.
Yeah.
So, who else do we want to move on
We should
to?
probably talk about Wolverine.
Let's talk about Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
Wolverine is kind of... he is the fence rider, you know? It's going to be hard to talk about him because he doesn't take a stance, really.
Yeah.
His stance at the end is just, well, I'm going to take down the machine. But that wasn't a stance on Magneto or Charles' side. And then again, at the end, he just goes away to find out about his origin and everything.
Yeah.
So he never takes a stance. So it's hard to kind of like talk about him.
Mm-hmm.
And considering he has all this memory loss and everything,
Yeah.
he is just kind of like this blank slate that has been chiseled out by the rough life that he has had to live with whatever happened to him post the experiments.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't really know what happened to him between living out of the car and, you know, getting experimented on.
Yeah.
Do you remember when he said is the last thing you remembered? It's just a couple months, right?
I believe Professor X says, like, he specifically calls out 15 years.
About what?
About, like, I think Logan only has memories, you know, going back 15 years.
Okay, going back. Okay, that's actually a hell of a lot.
Yeah, like, it's not a super recent thing.
Okay, not a super recent thing. 15 years is a hell of a lot of time, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess he has just been living out of the car for a long ass time. Because I can't imagine that he got like a house and then foreclosed in the house and then got in a car. Like, I assume it was in the whole time.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's like, he makes money with fights and everything like that, but he probably makes a hell of a lot of money with those fights.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, especially because he heals. Like, it's extremely painful for him, but he can do it, you know, a lot. So he can make a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah.
But what is he using the money for? Just, like, living, you know? Because it doesn't seem like he needs that much money to be living out of a car.
Yeah. Like, they also make the strong point of it's cold as fuck, and he doesn't really have a heater. Like, he doesn't turn it on until Rogue asks for it.
Yeah.
So, like, presumably he's fine with it being super cold and living with nearly nothing.
Yeah, and he does feel the pain. It's definitely he's got the big Sawyer energy from a lot of the big, like, I want people to hate me, you know, he is wearing so many hair shirts, you know, whether it be the cold or the pain or the whatever. Like, yeah, the bringing out the claws to intimidate somebody, but it brings him pain to do that.
Yeah.
When really he could just, you know, threaten to punch them, and it would probably scare the shit out of him too.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, he is that I need to punish myself sort of thing, which is interesting because there's got to be something more than, you know, why would that be the case if it was just I got experimented on?
Right.
You know, so there is something more. Assumingly he got experimented on, things happen, like he accidentally killed some people, I assume, like accidentally, you know, having his claws come out or whatever and everything. And yeah, I can't believe it. Half of this shit is just like medical, you know, surgical.
Yeah.
Like, that is okay. Yeah, it was not something I was expecting. Like, especially the claws thing. It makes a lot more sense for that to be a, like why it comes out the way it is and everything.
Yeah.
That is, like, a surgical thing. And it's like so his original thing is probably just, like, the adamantium bones. And then they were like, all right, let's work with that.
I think they said that, like, all the adamantium was surgically put on him.
All the adamantium?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because, like, they're looking at his x-rays and they're saying, like, it's, you know, artificially attached to him.
Okay.
And that's, you know...
I thought they were saying the claws were artificially attached to him. Like, the bones.
No, they definitely meant, like, all the adamantium.
All the adamantium.
Because then they bring up, like, how could you physically do this to someone when he die? It's because he can regenerate over it.
Yeah. Okay. So, okay. Yeah, I misinterpreted that. So, yeah, just the regeneration is his mutant ability. Well, I mean... that and like the smell,
yeah,
and we haven't seen anything where he has like great eyesight.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't seen like a scene of that, or hearing. I don't think we've got a scene of him hearing something. So just right now, smell and regeneration, which I don't know if that has anything to do with Wolverines, but I don't know. I don't know shit about Wolverines.
I don't think Wolverines can regenerate particularly fast.
You don't know that?
I don't know that.
I assume Wolverines probably do have a extremely heightened sense of smell, since they are an Arctic animal, and Arctic animals usually have a extremely heightened sense of smell.
Yeah, I will say the one thing, like, everyone loves Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. He loves being Wolverine. The one thing that almost like made them go no was that he's too tall for a comic Wolverine. Like, a big thing in the comics is that Wolverine is like, he's like a head shorter than most people.
Oh, really?
He's not a tiny little gremlin, but he has like gremlin energy to him.
Okay.
Like, there's a lot of him like looking up at people, whereas Hugh Jackman is like 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
So he does kind of like tower over everyone.
Yeah, when I think of Wolverine, I definitely think of Wolverine as being taller than anybody. So that's, but like now I'm picturing like a comic image of Wolverine running at somebody where he's like that, and it doesn't have that very actual Wolverine energy.
Yeah,
where it is very short. Like once you said that, I'm able to be like, yeah, I can picture now like the yellow costume Wolverine, you know, being like really short.
Yeah,
like usually like. I'm always picturing in the pose of leaning forward to make him look even shorter.
Yeah, like that's definitely a thing they do a lot. So, but yeah, like I say, a lot of Wolverine is him like lunging forward, you know, sometimes running on all fours, sometimes just being like physically picked up and thrown.
But yeah, when I think of Wolverine, I definitely think of him as being taller than anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, Hugh Jackman is like, it is
He's
one of those,
huge jacked man. I mean, yeah.
I mean, it's one of those roles that has like defined the character.
Yeah.
Like now it's a 50-50. If you say Wolverine, do people think of short comic Wolverine or do they think of Hugh Jackman? Because he's been Wolverine for so much.
Yeah. And again, great, not that they were planning to get specifically Hugh Jackman, you know, as a young age, but, like, it works so well with, you know, getting this actor very young and having him age up, because when I picture Wolverine, I picture him being like 50 years old.
Yeah.
So it was so weird this whole movie, seeing him be so young.
Yeah.
Like, it's so weird. I really love it. Like, I think when Wolverine was first introduced, I was ready, like, okay, here's the edgy, you know, cool for school guy that I'm really not gonna like. But I think his youthfulness really indebted me to him.
Okay.
Like, yeah, it felt so adorable. Like, he had a lot of himbo energy. He doesn't have the niceness of it, but he had a lot. Like, I wouldn't call him a himbo, but he had a lot of that energy.
Okay.
You know, when he was like first, like not when he was first introduced, as the movie was going on, as he got softer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would not say that he is a himbo in any way, but he had some of that energy.
Yeah.
And I think that's what endeared me to him. I'm curious to see where they're going to go with him throughout the movies, and like where he's going to take a stance on things. But right now, I like him appearance-wise a lot. Personality-wise, there's a lot to be desired.
Sure, fair.
It's very middle of the road. Is there anything else you want to say about Wolverine?
I enjoy him in this movie for like the fact that this is not a Wolverine movie. He's really important in it. He does do, like, you know, a big part of the final fights.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, like, we get a bunch of origin stuff for him, but we don't follow up on it in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, they let him be mysterious and also be, like, the protagonist of a different movie. Like, he shows up, he does protagonist things, he doesn't take a side, he's not, like, aligned with either of them. He learns to respect the X-Men. Like, he's okay with leaving Rogue there. Or, even then, I wouldn't say it's the X-Men, it is, like, the school for gifted people.
Yeah.
It is the, like, this is probably the best place you can be. I trust these people now. Like,
I think after, being there for that final fight, he can see that they're not going to do anything that bad. Like, you know.
Yeah.
I trust, like, whether he's not taking a side or anything, and I agree. I am not opposed to this school in the same way that I would be opposed to, like, S.H.I.E.L.D. or something like that. Because they're not doing anything, like, fascist or whatever. They are just, it's a school, you know?
Yeah.
And, like, the problem is that they're not doing anything, not that they are doing something. But yeah. And like Professor X was the only one that I was worried about how manipulative he was going to be, but it's like he's kind of really manipulative in getting people into the school, but after they're in the school, I'm kind of fine with him there.
Sure.
But yeah, very manipulative in how he's getting these people in the school.
Mm-hmm.
Really creepy.
I mean, any mind controller character is immediately going to be sus.
I think there's a difference. Like, I've read so much stuff with characters that can read people's minds.
Sure, but I mean, like, it's not that he can read their minds, it's that he can, like, put stuff into their heads.
Yeah, I think it is. It's not the fact of what he can do, it's the fact of what he does with it.
Sure.
It is that he is so creepy with it.
Yeah.
And, like, again, I don't think that's be the first thing that you're telling all these people if you're trying to, get to the... Like, I think he's manipulative, but he's also very bad at it. It works out somehow. But I would not be trusting this person who's immediately like, by the way, I can control you.
Right, it's...
You might want to leave it. Like, I'm not a fan of secrets, but day 2, Day 2.
Sure.
So, Cerebro. Let's talk about
yeah.
Cerebro.
So, I mean, as you might have imagined, Cerebro is one of those things where people just want to see it on screen.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the big room, the tiny little thing that Professor X wheels out into.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it is so beautifully perfect. Everything in this is exactly that. Like, it's a huge, giant domed room with a tiny little thing. Everything is that. And, yeah, it's so... As soon as we got it, it was the, like... This is... Like, this could literally be so many other things that would make so much more sense, and they're like, we have to do the comic reference. We have to do this. Same thing with, like, the machine that Magneto uses.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, we could do an effect that would be so much better, but we're not, because we want to be, like... exact with the comics.
Yeah.
We want to do a big comic reference with this. And again, I do appreciate that. I appreciate that they are willing to go so extremely whack with it.
Yeah.
The only thing I will say is the poisoning was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That was so fucking funny. I'm sorry, Patrick Stewart. That was the worst acting I've ever fucking seen. That was horrible.
I'm not going to defend that one.
Oh, my brain. Oh. So bad.
I appreciate that at the very least, Mystique didn't like go in and hack the computer to make it fry his brain.
Yeah.
We do have the inexplicable liquid, and then she takes the other liquid and injects it into it, but it's different.
That's fine. I'm glad it was not a USB. Thank God. So, let's talk about the minor characters, I guess.
Sure.
Or, like, is there anything you want to say about Cerebro or the machine that Magneto used? Like, anything more than just, like, I like seeing it on screen.
No, there's nothing that much. Okay, for Cerebro, I do like what we get to see. Like, we get to see, here's all the humans, also here's all the mutants.
It was a really cool effect with the, like, haziness of it.
Yeah.
Like, or seeing, like, people appear and everything. It was really cool. Yeah, it was a dope effect.
Yeah.
The Cerebro thing itself, fucking ridiculous. The room, ridiculous. Sure. The putting it on, everything about it ridiculous. But the effect inside Cerebro was fine.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's...
And really quick, just because I say something's ridiculous does not mean I didn't like it.
Sure.
I am glad they did it, but I have to say that it was ridiculous.
I gotcha.
Alright, continue.
I think just... There's a lot the movie does to... Like, not subtly, like, it is pretty hardcore. But they do make it very clear, like, mutants are around, they're a thing. We're not going to do a, like, soft explanation. Or, like, we're not going to give you the timeline. You don't need that. Mutants are out there. And I think Cerebro is a good way of showing how many mutants there are. Like, this isn't there's a dozen people in the world and they've been around for a while. It is like, no, mutants are everywhere.
Yeah.
There's tons of stories that you're not seeing.
I'm glad that is the case as well. Like, getting the Magneto people was at first like a, are these just the only ones that he, like, not the only ones he could get, rather like, are these all the mutants we have?
Right.
Like is it because a new mutant is popping up that this is all happening? But it's like, no, that is not the case.
Yeah.
It is because this mutant popped up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that also because so much of the movie is, based around the Mutant Registration Act.
Yeah.
And I think that wouldn't be that impactful if there were, like, 7 mutants. Like, the same reason why Civil War in the MCU, it kind of falls a little flat to me, because it is we need to, like, these laws apply to the Avengers.
Yeah.
Like, just these guys, as opposed to, like, a general hero act or a, like, general powered person act.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this goes right out of the gate with, this is going to affect a lot of people, and then we don't have time to, like, show you tons and tons of people, but we can show you the main cast, and we have, like, Xavier's entire school. Yeah. Like, all these kids are going to be affected if, these laws come into practice. Mm-hmm. That's enough for me.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, too, because this is also about a thing where they are having to... This was a thing that came up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. again, which is why I thought that Civil War in the MCU was going to be about that.
Right.
It's hard to not bring up Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has done so much shit that... Either the Inhumans has done so much mutant shit, and then Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. does that, so it's...
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of this stuff done as well, so I have to just mention that, like, yes, I've seen this.
Yeah. I will 100% say, a lot of the Inhuman stuff in the MCU specifically is very much, we don't have mutants, but we want to do this mutant thing.
Yeah, I figured.
Like that, before I saw any of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I just knew that from, like, the discourse.
Constantly in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., during the Inhuman stuff, I was saying, I assume this was the thing with the X-Men originally. I've heard of this with the X-Men. But, yeah, they, of course, do the registration sort of thing that... anyway, going to the Avengers Sokovia Act sort of thing, where it is... the difference between you are having to register on this thing and be held accountable because you want to go out and do this sort of... I mean, again, I was against the Sokovia Accords, but still.
Yeah.
It was this... These are so that way you are held accountable and you are not going out to a foreign country and doing some crazy blowing up a building.
Right. It's...
Whereas the Registration Act is... You are a mutant, and we need to put you on this list so that way we know you're a mutant, because it's not easy to tell you're a mutant, and we need to be able to discriminate against you.
Right. It's...
Like, there is no purpose for this other than discrimination.
Yeah.
It is we can't tell if you're a mutant or not. We need to know, so that way we can discriminate against you.
Yeah. And I appreciate they gave Senator Kelly so many of those typical lines. The, like, this person is like a gun, and do you want to have guns in our schools? I don't want guns in our schools.
Yeah. And yeah, I appreciate that this movie is, like, trolls are all like, those guys are assholes, fuck those people, but, we're not going to kill them and all this, stupid shit. But it is still like, fuck these people are assholes and everything like that. Again, compared to S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Inhumans, where it is now guys, these people do have a point. You guys are weapons and you guys are dangerous, and, you have to understand that you should be discriminated against.
Right.
So, I appreciate that we're not tackling this from a fascist stance of the mutants should be oppressed.
Yeah.
Thank God. So, now let's talk about the smaller cast.
Sure.
Jean Grey, I'm curious what they're going to do with her in future movies. Because in this movie, in all honesty, they could have taken her out of this movie entirely and just had everything she did be a different character, and or be one of the other characters.
Sure.
And I don't think it would really change anything.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is, she uses Cerebro that one time.
Yeah, but again, it's like... I don't think they needed that scene. That was a scene for her.
Sure.
But it's like, we didn't need to have that scene. We could have just had, Xavier go in the machine, find them, and then the poison hits them.
Okay. Yeah.
There's other ways they could have done it. So I'm curious, as it felt like just... She was the only one in the movie that felt like we're putting her here because she's a fan favorite, but we don't really have anything to do with her.
Right.
Like, yeah. So that's my only, like, I don't have anything to say about Jean Grey. She was there. She was the doctor. She was there.
Yeah, she did the left corner.
Yeah. Oh, man. That was really her only thing in this movie, and they didn't even really go anywhere with it.
Right.
Like, I'm glad. I hate that shit, but yeah. Her really only involvement in this movie is just the love cornering between Cyclops and Wolverine, which it doesn't feel like she likes either of them.
Nah, not really.
No. I guess she's in a relationship with Cyclops, but it doesn't feel like it.
And I don't think Wolverine really wants to be with her.
He feels like he does.
Really?
He feels like he's really aggressive with it.
Okay.
I felt like she was the one who was like the, 1930s, like, oh, but my husband, what? Oh, but he's such a fool. You're right, Wolverine. I will be with you. I really thought that we were going to go with the end of the movie. But,
Okay.
No, Wolverine, I felt like, was really hitting on her the entire time. I mean, Wolverine was like the, I'm not going to tell you not to hit on my girl. Oh, good, because I'm going to do it anyway. Like, God, those two are just...
Yeah. I mean, Cyclops with the... If I told you not to hit on my girl, she wouldn't be my girl. By the way, don't hit on my girl.
Yeah, Cyclops is the ultimate incel in this movie.
Yeah.
The only good scene in the entire movie with Cyclops was the kid. Like, the kid just looking up at him and being like, oh, and him being like, yeah, hey, kid. That's the only good scene. It was a wholesome scene. I liked it. That's it.
Yeah.
Every other scene with him was awful. He is insufferable.
Oh, yeah. He's so smug.
He's so smug in such an incel-y way. Like, in such a... Like, Wolverine is also really smug.
Sure.
But he's so smug in a pathetic way.
Sure.
Like, I think that's it. Like, I don't know what they're trying to go for. If they were trying to make that scene badass with the, like, oh, if I said don't hit on my girl, she wouldn't be my girl. By the way, don't hit on my girl. It's like, what is that supposed to be? It's not supposed to be cool.
I didn't see it as cool.
But anyway, yeah, I don't know if I have anything to say else about that. I just hate love cornerings.
Fair.
If it was a love triangle, that's fine, but nobody ever does a love triangle. It's always a love cornering. It is always this girl in the corner, these two men, arrows pointing this way. No arrows pointing back at either of them. A love triangle has to be arrows pointing both ways between all parties.
Right.
But hey, maybe we'll get an actual love triangle with Magneto's group.
Oh.
They're queer.
There's not a whole lot to say about Storm. Like, do you have anything?
No. Like, I like Storm.
Yeah, she's cool.
I like her a lot, but I feel like she was one-liner central, the movie,
Yeah.
Like, she is the cool older sister type,
Yeah.
She is like she's there the whole time, she's very confident, she's very cool, she's gonna come in and do a couple one-liners. But, like, if we do much more than that, she's going to lose the cool aesthetic.
Yeah.
Like, she's got this, like, reserved, like, competent, like, I'm not a part of the drama,
Mm-hmm.
And I do kind of appreciate that. She is not a part of the drama. She is there to do her shit.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I mean, yeah, like, that's kind of how Sabretooth is in Magneto's thing.
Yeah.
He's not, like, part of the drama in any way, Like, Toad is very, like, laughing at the senator and, like, and all, like, into it and everything, whereas Saber is just, I do my job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate them both for being that.
Yeah.
So, any other, like, small characters that we should talk about? Do you want to talk about the senator?
There's not that much to say about the senator.
Fuck that senator.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's dead.
I mean, I appreciate his character for not being I was racist, but now I realize racism is wrong, guys.
Yeah.
Like, he is the reason why Magneto's plan wouldn't have worked. Like, he is this, like, he's a big asshole.
Yeah, I mean, he is racist, he's turned into a mutant, he's still racist, and then right before he dies, he's like, wait, I don't want to be alone!
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck you.
Yeah, and even that is not in my last note, I've changed my ways. It is, he is just dying, he's scared of dying.
Yeah, but yeah, he's just pathetic. He is water. Yeah. He is as pathetic as water. That's not what I was going with that, but I don't know what I'm trying to say. He is as weak as water.
Yeah. When we end the movie, Mystique has, changed herself into him in order to quickly go on camera and go like, hey guys, by the way, mutant restoration is wrong.
Yeah.
Do you think they're just gonna have her say like, oh, by the way, he died somewhere else? Like, they don't have a body for him, so it's not going to be eventually the authorities find his body. Like, do you think she's just going to be him from now on, or are they going to, like...
It's a good point. Like, because this does kind of work because, like, the sort of cult mentality of Republicans, you know? you just say whatever, and you're going to be able to get them on your side because you've already had them in your cult for so long.
Yeah.
So it does make sense in that regard. But then if he just goes missing, then you're not going to have that.
Yeah.
The cult leader to lead the flock and keep
Yeah.
them away from the registration.
Like, this is a really strong position for her to be in.
And I do love, by the way, at
Yeah.
the very end of the movie, Mystique just coming in with like, I have a better plan than everybody. Done. All right, I did better than everybody. Charles was wrong. Magneto was wrong. I was right.
Mystique is very good at improv.
Yeah.
Like, same with her,
Incredibly.
like, you know, having a fatal wound and then changing herself so that she can get medical attention.
Yeah.
Like, she's on her toes throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, and she's like super aware of the surroundings because she does so much stuff. Like, I'm going to wait for somebody to leave, and the second they leave, I'm going to like come in. Not like the second, but, you know, like
Yeah.
wait, like I am going to use the situation to my advantage. You get this with so many shapeshifting characters where it's always, oh, we know they're shapeshifting character because they did something dumb or they
Right.
didn't change this one thing or whatever. But every time, she never did anything dumb.
Yeah.
Never. It was always a like they had to figure out a way. Like they had to pry in, you know,
Right.
tell me something specific or something like that, or they just like took a chance.
Mhm.
You know, I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
It was never her being dumb.
Mhm. But yeah, that's basically it. Like, they kept the cast really tight for this one.
Who the hell's Iceman?
That's Bobby. He was the guy who had the ice powers.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. We
Yeah.
should talk about some of those. Like, okay, who all got shown a power? If they
Sure.
just had their name in the credits, then I don't think I want to know.
Sure.
But, yeah, that was the kid who Mystique changed herself into to
Yeah.
say to Rogue.
Yeah.
That was also the most contrived fucking thing in the fucking movie. That was so... Well, like, I went with it, but it
Yeah.
was such a, like... Because it was a 2000s movie, to be fair, I totally bought into
Yeah.
this is just the kid doing this, and this is so contrived, but whatever.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I thought it was going to be I don't like her because she talked to Wolverine, and now I'm super pissed.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen so many movies that do that exact thing. What, you talk to another boy? Okay, now I'm going to be evil.
Yeah.
Now it's time for me to not just be, like, an asshole to you. I'm going to now become evil.
Yeah. It happens.
Yeah. But there was him. Do we see anybody else's like use powers?
There's a boy in their class that could also make fire.
Right.
And there's the girl, when Professor X is talking to a group of kids, she walks through the door.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
physically
We
faces through
heard
it.
her being talked about at the beginning as well.
Yeah.
We got her name. What was it?
Kitty.
Kitty, right? Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. Again, that like they all have these names, but I don't know if Kitty is her mutant name or her name.
Okay.
Because Kitty is just a name as well.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it is her actual thing. Like, I could see it being you stretch it far enough of cats are so elegant they can walk through a door. But yeah, I'm curious for these kids again. Like, I think they got them so young so that way they can have them throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what if one of them doesn't want to be a part of it anymore? You got to change the actor. That was kind of pointless then.
Yeah.
But we'll see if that happens.
Mhm.
I think we're done for the minor characters though.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else to say about those people. Just that like I wanted to remind myself which ones we saw.
Yeah. Plus, I will say, like they intentionally made this movie very tight in terms of like the people, the people in the Brotherhood, the people in part of the X-Men.
Yeah.
Because it also was we don't have the budget for that many effects, and we want the effects we do use to be good.
Mm-hmm.
So, they definitely squished down the cast. Like, I think you'll see in the later movies that, everyone in this cast, I think, is, doing a double role of this is their character, but also they're filling in a role that someone else would usually do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I know what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
But I don't think it, stands out. I never look at it and go, it's really weird that there's only 3 people on screen right now.
Yeah, it felt totally fine to me.
Yeah.
There was, I think the only times where it felt weird is, in the actual X-Men halls where it has, again, I'm going to say it 1,000 times, it has the 2000s energy of just, it is so empty and vacant and eerie.
Yeah.
And just, this feels like a villain's lair, even though it's not supposed to feel like that.
Right. Just
because, you didn't want to get a bunch of actors down here.
Yeah. And to be fair, I do think they play on that really well with when Wolverine wakes up, because it does.
Oh, yeah.
Like I think they understood how creepy it was, and they were like, you know what? Let's do the scene from his perspective.
Yeah. But yeah, fully agree.
Yeah.
I think that's what they were going for.
Yeah. That's all I've got.
Okay. Let's talk about the final fight.
Okay.
Having it be on the Statue of Liberty, having it be at Ellis Island.
Yeah.
One, the fact that, regardless of the fight thing, the in-universe decision to have this meeting at Ellis Island is so... It immediately makes you they wouldn't have to say anything else on the Mutant Registration Act. It's just that they're doing this at Ellis Island. I mean, it has to be the fact that it's the Mutant Registration Act as well.
Yeah.
But it immediately makes you hate them.
Oh yeah.
You don't need to know anything else. It's just okay, so that we're going with this kind of politician. Fuck all politicians, but they are going ham with the they are so insensitive that they are going to do this at Ellis Island. And I love the choice of that.
Yeah.
Again, doing this on the Statue of Liberty, such a fantastic idea. Having the
torch?
Yeah, the torch blow up as the machine starts going. I was not expecting that at all. I thought it was going to emanate out of the torch. I was expecting to get a shot of the Statue of Liberty where it's emanating out of the torch and people are going, oh, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. But actually having it explode and then you just see it up there is honestly cooler.
Yeah, it's so cool.
It's a very bad effect, but it's so cool.
It's a strong visual.
Yeah. And it's such a tight fight location. It's a small little statue. It's not like it's this big, and it's all happening inside, so nobody even knows this is happening 5 feet away, and it feels natural that is happening.
Yeah.
I'm so tired of the massive destructive scale that so many of these movies have to have nowadays. Where it's I'm fine with just this. I so miss not having to go to space.
Right.
Just let me fight other people who are being bad. Because also when you're doing that, you can have them be more human and be more understandable, and you're on their side too.
Yeah, it makes all the fights, I wouldn't say they're super memorable, but they are tight, and it does feel very frenetic because everyone's, in the same-ish location.
Yeah.
They could spell out and hit each other, and you've got, the big AoE attacks like Storm, using the winds.
Yeah.
It feels very big impactful in a way where, if they were fighting in a bunch of warehouses or something, it would feel very empty.
Or just out in the streets or something like that.
Yeah.
The fact that this is in this, train station area, it was a train station, right?
Yeah.
The first time was that was the only place where we got people were around and everything, and that was excellently done because it wasn't wide scale damage. They weren't trying to do damage or anything. They were just trying to get the girl and get out. You know? And that part of the fight, as well as the what was the place? Was it a gift shop or was it a museum at the end there? I'm trying to remember. It was the gift shop.
I
right?
think it was just the gift shop.
It was the gift shop. But yeah, that was not that was the sort of fighting. I thought museum, or I said museum because it felt like the fighting in a museum after hours sort of thing. The fact that it was after the store was closed, kept it from feeling similar to the first scene.
Right.
And yeah, I don't know. I'm just tired of the big old destruction thing. I'm glad that the final fight was that we had everybody's watching the fight happen be the middle of the movie fight.
Yeah.
It was a really a unique choice to take. Not many movies do that.
Yeah.
Even just movie movies don't really do that. I'm glad they decided to do that.
Yeah, because the action still escalates, or rather, the stakes still escalates.
Yeah.
It's just the final fight is more small and intimate and cloaked in shadow.
Yeah, and everybody gets to use their powers in the final fight too. In the final Statue of Liberty round of the fight.
Yeah.
Everybody does a thing that ends it. It's not just Wolverine.
Yeah.
And the Cyclops taking the shot at the end there, it is I thought that was actually going to kill Magneto for a second, but thank God it did not. But yeah, that Wolverine probably could have had it. It was I understand why Cyclops took the shot, and if I was in Cyclops' shoes, I probably would have taken the shot too.
Yeah.
But it leaves it up to did he need to take the shot?
Yeah.
It does not seem like it. But yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, same.
Yeah. I just all the Mystique stuff of the gift shop fight I really enjoyed. Super duper. Loved it so much. Any extra trivia you got?
Not really, no.
Okay. So is that it for the discussion then, I guess?
I think so.
Alright, I've already given my guess as what X2 is going to be about. So, yeah, I will see you guys for that. Until then, get the fuck out of here. Yeah, this discussion was not longer than the movie this time.
Woo!